when we're doing these vessels, we want to make sure the order they come off the aorta, right? And also look where they're going to and coming from. So there's a bonus vein called the azygos. The azygos is going to drain part of your thoracic wall. So if you actually push everything in the thoracic cavity to the side, it's on that side, shit. See that vein running like that? That's your azygos vein. So that might be a bonus vessel, right? All right, so now we're going everything below the diaphragm, which on this pig's, they've actually cut the diaphragm good so you can see everything below it. There's the diaphragm. So you had the aortic arch turned and became the descending aorta. In the thorax, it's called the descending thoracic aorta. Once it passes through the diaphragm, it's called the descending abdominal aorta. Also, below the heart, you could see, here's your inferior vena cava, right? So everything from down here is draining up back into the heart. And then you can see it down here. So if you see running side by side down here, there's your aorta, and right next to it's your inferior vena cava. All right? So right below the diaphragm, so here's the diaphragm right here, right? This branch right here, the first one, I'm going to stick the probe under it if I could. That first branch right there is the celiac trunk. It's a single branch. There's not a left and right. And off of the celiac trunk, you don't have to find them, but there's 3 branches. One going to the spleen, called the splenic artery. One going to the liver, called the hepatic artery. And one going to the stomach, called the gastric artery. Right below the celiac trunk, the next branch we look for, and it's a little thicker, this guy, is your superior mesenteric artery. It's going to serve your small intestine and the upper part of your large intestine. All right, right below that, we actually see, here's your kidney, so you could see your renal artery and vein right there, right? Artery and vein. Right immediately above the renal artery and vein, you'll see a little tiny branch coming off. See if I can find it here. Did we find your adrenal lumbars?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, where were they? Yours were kind of hard to find. But any little vessel right above the kidneys that's going to go serve, the adrenal glands are like right there, like right here. You'll see little vessels that are going to go serve. It's right there. It's going to serve the adrenals and adrenal lumbar. The other thing it's serving is the lumbar muscles, the back wall muscles. All right? Going further down after the renals, the next thing down we should find are the gonadals. These are a little difficult.
Mine was severed.
Yeah, hers is severed. But when you find you had a what? Female?
Male.
You had a male? Yeah, they're going to be hard, but they'll be really thin vessels going to the ovaries. It's easier to see in females. The males, the testes either can be partly descended or all the way descended. Little thin vessels going to serve the ovaries in the female. All right, past that, inferior mesenteric. It's really thin right here. This guy coming off the aorta. The inferior mesenteric goes and serves the bottom part of the large intestine and your rectum. So it's a pretty thin single vessel, and if it's going to the large intestine, that's how you know it's your inferior mesenteric. Iliolumbar. What's the ilium? Is where your big hip part of your hip bones, lumbar, the back. So if you traced over your iliolumbars, we've got these vessels going over here, and they're actually going to the back muscle walls. You can see them on this side too, down here. All right? Iliolumbar, again, muscles of the back. Umbilical arteries, really easy. Here's your urinary bladder. On either side's your umbilical arteries. And your umbilical vein's not on your list, but it would have been here and attached up at the liver. They've tied it off. All right, so that's that. That's your umbilical vein. All right. After the umbilical, now your aorta comes to an end, and it has 2 big branches off of it. Those are going to be your external iliacs. So if you see here, here's your aorta, and then all of a sudden you get this branch, and there'll be one on the other side. So there's another, all right, there's 2, the aorta splits 2 branches, right? Those are your external iliac arteries. Then inside that, little deeper down, thinner branch right there, that's your internal iliacs. So your internal iliacs will be medial, inside of the external iliacs. Once you follow the external iliacs down, once they get into the thigh, that's your femoral. Remember the femoral triangle of the muscles you learned in AP1? The femoral artery and vein ran in that triangle. So there's your femoral artery, and then when it dips deep down into the muscle, it's the deep femoral artery. As for the veins down here, there's no common iliac artery, but there's a common iliac vein. So when you get to the end of the beginning of your inferior vena cava, it will have, if you look, you have to move this, well, it's behind the external iliac artery. It branches, that would be the common iliac vein, and then you'll have an external iliac vein and an internal iliac vein. So there's a common iliac vein, but not a common iliac artery. All right? And then when that dives deep, running right along, can't see it in this guy, but running right alongside the femoral artery would be the femoral vein. All right? It's not that bad. It really isn't. All right.
You explain it.